Thank you, Heath. So yeah, you can see on the screens, there's the game pin, and I see some of you are already logged in. I'll give you a couple more seconds while I introduce myself. My name is Thor. I'm a 7th and 8th grade social studies teacher, but I'm going to do my best to not treat you like my class, or else it would be, if your mouth is open, shut it. If you are standing, sit. Let's get started. So, yeah, if you've ever been in school before, you already know this song pretty well. Is there anybody else that needs a second to get logged in? Yes? Okay. Turn that down, Cooper. That song's annoying. Well, maybe like halfway, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, there's a couple here that I bet already know that song, right? Anybody ever played a Kahoot before? Yeah. Cool. Well, it's easy. It's going to be multiple choices, and once we're ready, once Cooper clicks on start, the first question is not going to be for any points. It's going to be a practice question. You're going to see the question up on the screen, but then your phone or your tablet is going to turn into 4 different colors. And there's going to be, underneath the question, there will be multiple choices, and every choice will be a different color. And if you think the answer is red, you tap red. If you think the answer is blue, you tap blue. And so on and so on. After question number 1, the rest of the questions will be for points. How we doing? Anybody still need a chance to get logged in? Remember, top 3, I got $15 gift card to Target, I got a $10 gift card to Target, and I got a $5 gift card to Target. Go ahead and click on start, Cooper. Let's do this. And I do have to warn you, this is all review from last week. And I wasn't planning on Heath being here so you could not know the answers and not feel embarrassed. But now Heath is here, and he's going to know who wasn't paying attention. So this one is practice. Tap any color, no points. Yellow, blue, red, and green. I forgot I randomized the answers, so therefore yellow is not on yellow anymore, but you get the point. Tap any answer. And you see that it says there's 18 of you have answered, 19 of you answered. There's a countdown on the left, 12 seconds left before the question goes away. So if you haven't answered yet, you only have 5 seconds left to tap on something. And now it shows you what the correct answer was. And this one, all 4 answers were correct. It wasn't for any points, but now you get how it works. Everybody ready? Everything else from now on is review from last week. Here we go. Oh, there's our top 5 as well. Aaron is in 5th place. Here we go. Question number 2. Fill in the blank. 1 Timothy 4:8 for physical training is blank. Love it when the beat drops. Oh, we got to get closer, huh? I didn't think about that. Yeah, anybody need to move closer? This is another excuse to get people to sit in the front row, huh, Heath? So once again, trying not to treat it like my classroom, but I would say if there's an empty seat in front of you, sit in it. 10 of you got it right. 2 of you said of no value at all. All right. Here's the top 5. Jesse's winning. Number 3. Finish this verse. For physical training is of some value, but blank. How dare you? My own wife. All right, 18 of you got that one right. Good. Next one. Let's show them the top 5, I mean. Uh-oh, Molly's moved into 1st. All right. Number 4, finish this verse, Colossians 2:6. And now, just as you have accepted Christ Jesus as your Lord, blank. By the way, the picture is a clue. Those of you who ever had Mr. Whitlock before, you know the picture is always a clue, right? Yeah. Yeah, you can't change your answers in Kahoot. This is not a formative assessment. Oh my gosh. Only 8 of you this time. One of you said drums, which I appreciate. And by the way, after it's all over, I will get this data emailed to my inbox, and I'll know who clicked on drums, and I'll, something between just you and me. Go ahead. Next one there, Koopa Doopa. Super Cooper. Number 5, which one of these is Heath's definition of the word continue? This was in his notes. Remember last week as we were saying goodbye, I said check Heath's notes in the Bible app. Nice. Nobody said red. That's nice. Because blue and green are correct, but that's not what Heath had in his notes. How's the top 5 looking now? Still Jesse and Molly neck and neck. 46-71. Here we go. Number 6. What Bible verse is the parable of the seeds, or the sower of the seeds? Oh. This one's a tough one. So obviously it's chapter 4, 1 through 8. But is it Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John? Nine of you got it right. That's not terrible. How we doing? Oh, Molly dropped down. Shelby's in second now. Number 7. Finish this sentence from Heath's sermon. Where roots grow deep, blank. Remember, the picture is a clue. You can always tell when I had trouble thinking of a 4th choice. Good, 16 of you on that one. How we doing? What's the top 5 look like? Pretty much the same. Who's rebels? Nice, you're in there. Number 8, 2 more to go. Fill in these blanks from Heath's sermon. Growing deep roots is blank, not blank. There are 2 correct answers on the screen. Growing deep roots is blank, not blank. You don't have to choose them both. You can't choose them both, but only 2 are correct. Nice. Okay, 1 left. If you're not in the top 3, this is your last chance. Jesse, Shelby, and Danielle are hogging it. Rebels and Face, you're close. Which one of these is wrong? Which one is not a challenge from Heath's sermon last week? Which one did Heath not challenge us to do? Students always get this kind of question messed up because they didn't see the word not. All right, here we go. First place, Danielle. Come get your $15 gift card. Second place, oh wait, that was third. Third place, Danielle. Second place, Shelby. And first place, Jesse. Come on up. This one is $5. Where's Danielle? Awesome. You already knew Cahoots. This one is the $10 gift card, so that's Shelby. And this one's $15. All right, Cooper, you remember how to get back to the Pro Presenter? You also need to close Chrome so that song doesn't keep on playing in the background. Okay. So, my name is Thor. Let's just get right into it. This series that we're going to be looking at over the next, including last week, it's a 4-week series, is called Brand New. And when we hear the words brand new, I'm nervous that some of you will think to yourselves, well, I'm not a brand new Christian. Therefore, I'm just going to turn off until he says goodbye, and then I'll go watch football later. I want to change our perspective on the phrase brand new. Let's look at Luke 9:23. Go ahead and put that up. He said to them all, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me." What this means to me is that even though I may have been a Jesus follower, not the best Jesus follower in the world, I don't want to brag about it, but even though I may have been a Christian for several years, every day has to be brand new. Every single day has to be a renewal, a reacceptance. And when I think of this series being called Brand New, it's exactly how I'm trying to challenge myself. And yes, I've heard sermons on service before, and I've heard sermons on baptism before, and I've heard sermons on giving before. But I want to look at this series not as, okay, I'm a brand new Christian, now what? I just accepted Christ yesterday, now what do I do? And if that's you, wonderful. Praise God for that. But even if that's not you, I feel like there are a lot of fruit that you can get from this series. So, with that in mind, let's look at this series. Oh no, my tablet. It's being a jerk. All right, so let's look into service. Here it is, 1 Peter 4:10. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received. This is Jesus talking to me. This is Jesus talking to you. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. There it is. Jesus said to serve. That's it. I'm going to take off my mic. We're going to go home. Let's watch some football. Right? I'm going to root for the, who am I rooting for tonight? The Texans. I'm rooting for the Texans. I'm not a Texans fan, but the Colts beat the Texans. So if the Texans win, I can say the Colts beat the winning team. That's also true about the Chiefs, but whatever. Obviously, we're not going home after this. But it really, really should be this simple, shouldn't it? Jesus said to do something, so I do it. Maybe that's my military background. When the drill instructor says jump, you don't say why. When the drill instructor says jump, you say how high. Okay? And that's how I feel that we should treat this exact scripture right here. But we're humans, we're sinners, our sin gets in the way, and it actually is more complicated than this. So, show us the next slide, Cooper, because I wanted to look at, this is the three things that we're going to be looking at today in my message. First of all, I want to talk about what service is not, because if you're serving for the wrong reasons, I don't know that it counts. And then we're going to look at what service really is, and third, we're going to look at how can we specifically, I'm going to challenge each one of you in this room and watching online, I'm going to challenge you, how can you specifically get involved, if not in this Level 13 church, into your local church? So here we go. What service is not? The most obvious sentence of the day. Cooper, throw that up there, buddy. Service is not about you. This seems so obvious. Like, obviously, if I were to ask anyone in this room, anyone in the world, why are you serving? Why are you doing what you're doing? No one, I shouldn't say no one, because there would be those that would, but very, very few people would ever say, I'm serving because I want the attention. Very few people would ever say, I'm serving because I want the likes, because I want the upvotes, because I want the hearts, because I want the glory. No one would say that out loud. But just because you don't say it out loud doesn't make it not true. When we are serving, we need to continually dig inside of ourselves and be introspective. And we need to say, why are we serving? So obviously, we all know service is not about you. We say that, we know it's obviously not true, but I want to look at some examples of some pretty blatant humble brags. I Googled these. I got rid of all of the identifying factors so that, because I'm not here to judge anyone, but most of these are from celebrities. So here's a humble brag. I just did something very selfless, but more importantly, it was genuine, and I know it means a lot to the person in the long run. This person may have done something really, really awesome, may have done something really, really nice, but the fact that they posted this and phrased it this way makes me think that the only reason they did it is because they wanted to see how many likes they could get. Next one, same thing here. Setting up your own charity and event is no joke. Hashtag, it'll be worth it. I gotta wonder why they posted a sentence like that. It wasn't doesn't seem like their heart was in the right place. Go ahead. Keep on going there, Coop. Just got an email that made my day. Your donation of $150 has been received. Hashtag Toys for Tots. This person is clearly, there's no question here. There's no, I wonder why they posted that. They're just letting the world know, hey, I just donated $150 to Toys for Tots, which is awesome. I'm glad you did. But the fact that you're bragging about it shows where your heart really is. And then this next one, I think, this next one is my favorite. Next, go ahead. I'm trying to donate $12,000 to a website, but every time I get to step 3, it changes to $12. Can anyone out there help me out? Right? I don't think we even need to comment about that one. It's just, okay. Eye roll, right? And then the last one, kind of long, but it really gets to the heart of what I'm trying to talk about. Go ahead and show us that last one, Cooper. And if you can't read it in the back, I'll read it to you. Today is a very special day. Someone I know sent me a photo of his mother on her deathbed. She's holding my first 2 books, which I had signed for her. We never met, but she's a big fan. This morning is a very special surprise. I'm headed over to her city to surprise her with the latest book in my trilogy. I'm going to read it to her. This will be priceless. That's a wonderful thing to do. It really, really is a wonderful thing to do. But the fact that you're posting on that on whatever it was, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, makes me wonder, where's your heart when you're doing this? So, I want to show you this verse, and I want to be really upfront about this. Next slide. Go ahead, Cooper. Put it up there. I feel like this verse was meant for social media, even, however many thousands of years before social media was ever invented. It says, be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. Continue. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they've already gotten their reward in full. Continues. But when you give to the needy, don't even let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. This is the opposite of all those humble brags, isn't it? The humble brags are saying, hey, everybody, look at what I did. And then Jesus in Matthew is saying, wait a second, you shouldn't even let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Which makes me think, what's your problem with left-handed people? But that's a different day. The point is, I want to know how to say this, because I want to get vulnerable with you for a second, because this verse is the verse that probably smacks me in the face harder than any other verse in the Bible. Ever since middle school, my father, who is when I was growing up, was, Mike. My father, when I was growing up, he was the choir director and music director at Taylor Chapel Church, not too far from here. And I grew up in that church, growing up, learning to play drums. As soon as I was good enough, Dad put me in his choir band, and when I wasn't in the choir band, I would sing in his choir. And I would get kind of annoyed when people didn't come up to me afterwards and say, hey, good job. And I would get angry when people weren't looking at me. And okay, so I'm being vulnerable. That was easily more than 20 years ago, a lot more than 20 years ago. But I have that same exact problem today. I'm addicted to the spotlight. When Heath asked when Heath at the LBA said, is there anyone who can teach? I jumped at it. Yeah, I'll teach, because I enjoy the spotlight. I really do. And every single time I sit down behind that drum set, I have to say a prayer to myself. I have to pray, God, please help me keep my focus on you, and help me get my focus away from, I hope someone notices these sick beats I'm playing, right? Because it's not what it's about. And it's a daily struggle for me. Okay. As long as we're on the social media, I've got another story for you. I remembered myself. This is, how long ago did we go to Faith Journey? A long time ago. Anyway, our pastor at the time, from another church ago, when Terry and I went to a different church, our pastor, this is before Facebook, this is before Twitter, our pastor encouraged everyone to get a MySpace page. Remember MySpace? And he said, well, I want everyone to get a MySpace page so we can communicate with each other and we can, create little groups and we can announce events and that kind of stuff, and everybody can keep updated on each other's what's going on. And so I did. You need to know that because now you know that almost all of my friends on MySpace were from church. So here I am driving down St. Joe Center Road, going west. Yeah, going west. I just passed Canterbury and I'm going towards Coldwater. And there's a person on my side of the road, so I can only see his back, and he's walking down the side of the road, in the shoulder of the road, holding a gas can. And right away, I think to myself, I'm going to pick him up. But then I get self-proud, and there's traffic, and I'm in the left lane. It's 4 lanes, and there's a median, right? I'm in the left lane. I can't get over. I'm checking my blind spot constantly. I can't get over. And finally, I get to Coldwater. I, get into that little gas station there, do a turn here, but then there's a median, so I got to turn there. There's another median, then I turn here. And finally, I'm going back west towards Canterbury. And the whole time I'm driving back, getting ready to pick this guy up, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'm writing statuses in my head, right? This is what my status is going to say. I just picked up some random dude. And this is before hashtags, but I would have had something like hashtag pay it forward or, something stupid like that. And then I'm getting closer, and I'm getting closer. And now instead of him walking the same direction as me, he's walking in the opposite direction of me, and I see his face, and I know who it is. And it's someone that I don't really get along with. And I kept on driving. And I turned around because I wasn't headed west, I was headed east, right? So I turned around, and I passed him again, and I went to where I was going. So I passed this dude 3 times, and I really believe that this is God teaching me a lesson. God saying, yeah, it's really nice of you to pick him up, but as soon as you start thinking about what will other people think about me when they find out that I picked this guy up, well, now you're doing it for the wrong reasons, buddy. And I honestly believe God put people in that right lane, and here I am trying to get over, because if I would have been able to get it over right away, I just would have pulled over to the shoulder and I would have waited for him to pull up. But God put people in that right lane so that I would have time to get full of myself so that he could deflate me. And he taught me that lesson, and I thank him for that. But at the same time, I'm ashamed of it. Make sense? Okay, so service is not about you. Let's get to the second point. Whoa, not that one. Come on, man. Let's look at what service actually is. So, it's on the screen. Cool. Leave it there. That's fine. Leave it there, Cooper. Let's look at what service is. This is easily over 15 years ago. This pastor named Rick Warren, if you've been in churches long enough, you know about Rick Warren, because about 15 years ago, in the year 2002 is when the book was written, but then a couple of years after that, there's a teaching series that came out, and you couldn't even drive through Fort Wayne without seeing a billboard on every church. We're doing the 40 Days of Purpose. We're doing the 40 Days of Purpose. We're doing the 40 Days of Purpose. Every single church in Fort Wayne was doing this series. Terry and I did it, and we loved it. But the one thing that resonates with me all of those years later from this series, from this book, 40 Days of Purpose, the book is called Purpose-Driven Life, and the series is called 40 Days of Purpose. The one that sticks out to me more than anything else is Rick Warren's definition of the word worship. What is worship? And he says worship is expressing your affection to God, focusing your attention on God. Say that again. Focusing your attention on God and using your abilities for God. This doesn't say worship is singing on Sunday mornings. This doesn't say worship is playing the guitar. This doesn't say worship is playing the drums. This says worship is focusing on God and using your abilities. Using your abilities. If you're not a drummer, you can still worship. If you're not a guitar player, you can still worship. If you don't sing, you can still worship. Let's expand our definition of the word worship. Because by this definition, Cooper, show us the next slide, buddy. Service is worship. You serving, however you're serving, whatever it is you're doing, if your focus is on God, that means you are worshiping. Check this out. I got a list, and this is obviously not an all-inclusive list. If you're changing diapers in the nursery, you are worshiping. If you are pulling weeds in front of the church sign, you are worshiping. If you are replacing the toilet paper rolls, which Heath had to do this morning, you are worshiping. If you help count the weekly giving and you help balance the church's accounts, you are worshiping. If you vacuum this church building before people show up, you are worshiping. If we're having to get together and you make a crock pot full of buffalo chicken, you are worshiping. You notice there's an asterisk there. Because if you're not using Frank's Red Hot, then you're not worshiping. Just so you know. Just so you know. That's in the Bible. It's Thor 7:4. If you are running the soundboard, if you are running the slides, if you are running the live stream, you are worshiping. That is the definition of worship. Worship is not a song. Worship can be a song, but worship is not just a song. So I want to look at this slide one more time, but I'm going to add one more sentence to it. Cooper, show us the next slide. As long as your focus is on God, whatever it is you are doing is worship. If you're doing it for God, if you're doing it for His glory, if you're not posting hashtag, here's what I did today, I served at the soup kitchen today, hashtag, look at me. That's not worship. That's nice service and good for you, pat on the back, but it's not worship. Okay? I want to kind of check my notes here for a second. Be patient with me. I have in my notes here, I have the words game time decision, because there's a story that I'm thinking about telling you, and since I'm thinking out loud, I'm going to tell you. But this is another one of my internal struggles, because my service to this church is very public. I play drums. I play drums very loudly. Out of the 4 drummers here, I'm the 4th best one. I'm pretty proud of that. Now, Face is back, so out of the 5 drummers here, I'm the 5th best one. Hi, Face. Several years ago, been playing drums here at Level 13 for over 10 years. Several years ago, I think, matter of fact, 3.5 years ago, there was a sermon on service, and there was that Matthew one about don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. And I thought to myself, well, gosh, my service, everyone knows what my service is, and that doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem right. It seems like by nature, my service has to be in the spotlight. So I challenged myself to find a way to serve that's not in the spotlight. And this is the challenge, because I don't want this to come off as a brag. I don't want this to come off as a humble brag, especially. I want this to come off as an example. 3 years ago, I asked if I could start mowing the lawn here at church. And I haven't told anybody. Heath knows that I mow the lawn because he lives right there. A couple other people know that I mow the lawn because they're the ones that help me when this stupid thing breaks, and they're the ones that helped me. But for 3 years now, I've been the one almost every weekend that comes in and I mow the lawn. It's a lot of fun because it's one of those 0-turn radius ones, zip around and stuff like that, and it goes really, really fast and all that kind of stuff. But I turn on my worship music in my earbuds, and I mow the lawn, and no one knows I'm mowing the lawn, and it's a way for me to serve that's out of the spotlight. It's a way for me to serve that's don't tell the left hand what the right hand is doing. And the reason that I bring this up is because I want to challenge someone to come to me privately. Obviously, don't raise your hand right now, because that would be against what I'm going at. Come to me privately and say, hey, would you teach me how to mow the lawn? And I'll do it all this summer. And it's just one example of a way that you can serve where you would be serving privately, just you and God with your headphones on, listening to worship, mowing the lawn, serving your church, and fulfilling His glory. Because believe it or not, a mowed lawn helps this church. So, cool. Hopefully, we're ready here. Let's move on to the third. Let's go back again to 1 Peter, please, Cooper. It's the next slide. There it is. We've already looked at this. Verse, but I want to highlight some words here. It says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards from God's grace in its very forms. The very first word of this verse is each. That doesn't say some of you. It doesn't say only those of you who have been members of the church for a year. It doesn't say only those of you who are over the age of 18. It doesn't say only those of you who are believers. It says each of you, which is me calling out to you right now, saying, I'm talking to you. And you online, I'm talking to you. Jesus says each of us needs to serve. And then it goes on to say, in the next part I want to highlight, is whatever gift you have received. Whatever it is that you're good at. If you're good at making that buffalo chicken dip, then that's how you serve. If you're good at computer stuff, then that's how you serve. If you're good at accounts, if you're good at computers, if you're good at music, that's how you serve. Whatever it is that you've been gifted with is how you serve. Okay, so straight out of that, let's go to the next verse, please, Cooper. Really, really common verse, and it's pretty long, so I split it into 2 screens. But this is about the body of Christ, a.k.a. the church. If the foot should say, because I'm not a hand, I don't belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being a part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I don't belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. You can't just say I'm not serving, and then all of a sudden you're not a part of the body. You're still part of the body. Moving on. This is my favorite part, and this is the part I'm going to rephrase. Cooper, let's go for it, buddy. There it is. If the whole body were an eye, where would our sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? But in fact, God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. If they were all one part, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, but one body. Cooper, leave that exactly where it is, but I'm going to rephrase that. I want everyone to try and read along. I'm just going to look at verses 18 and 19. And I want you reading verses 18 and 19, but I'm going to rephrase it here and see if you can get my point. Verse 18, if all of level 13 were drummers, then who would teach the children? If all of level 13 were teachers, then who would balance the church's budget? God has placed people in level 13 just as he wants them. Your gift is no more or less important than mine. If we each use our gifts together, we will accomplish God's plan. Is that a fair rephrasing of this verse? Am I being blasphemous here, or does that make sense? I think it really does. I think that we can easily replace the word body with level 13, and this verse makes perfect sense. Or your home church if you're watching online. So let's get specific. Let's get very specific. And I'm going to start going quickly here because I'm looking at the clock and, if you are interested in worshiping in leading or serving, if you are interested in serving musically or artistically or with the soundboard or with the live stream, then you need to talk to me, Aaron, or Zach. And by the way, I should have capitalized Zach. Sorry, bud. By the way, it's all capitalized up here. It's not capitalized on the back wall. He gave me a goofy look. By the way, I'm about to drop a whole bunch of names. If you don't know all these names, no big deal. Come see me, come see Heath, and I can help guide you. And some of these people aren't here today anyway. I just got a text from Lauren saying, hey, I'm not going to be there. Good luck. So if you don't know a name, come see me. You know what I look like now. You know what Heath looks like. Come see us, and whatever area it is, we'll guide you. Go on, moving on. If you want to help out in greetings or security, Cooper, thanks, man. You need to talk to Barry Walker. He's usually at the front door. He's in Aruba this weekend, but usually he's the one at the front door. Go talk to him. Moving on. If you want to help with church finances, you need to talk to his wife, Debbie Walker. Moving on. If you want to help with facilities, pause button here. This building is falling apart, and we need help with facilities. You need to talk to Ryan. If you love swinging a hammer. Moving on. If you're interested in outreach or missions, Gilbert. There it goes. If you're interested in outreach or missions, you need to talk to Kara Kensinger. And this is where I'm going to stop, and I'm going to pull a Heathism out, and I'm just going to call this what it is. And if I step on some toes, then I stepped on some toes. Because Kara and Dan have been running the outreach and missions program for a couple of years, and hasn't been a whole lot of response from the church. They've had events where we handed out donuts at the bus station and met some homeless people and close to homeless people, and it was just a couple of people there. Dan has organized some events where we were able to, a man whose wife had just died, I was able to help him organize his house after all the callings and people had left a mess in his house, and he was overwhelmed. Just came over and helped him out, and that was Dan that set that up. Mowed a disabled woman's lawn for her, cleaned out some gutters of some people in the community, And Dan organized these things for a long time, and it would just be hardly anyone showed up. So because of that, Dan, I think you've done an awesome job, Kara. You guys have done an awesome job. But because of that, they want to find someone else to organize the outreach program here at Level 13. Someone else who can have the time and the patience and maybe has a new idea of how to get people involved in that area. So if you're interested in that, you need to talk to Kara and Dan, or find me if you don't know who they are. And I'm not trying to air out dirty laundry here, but this is a weakness here at Level 13. Let's move on from that. If you want to help out with the youth group, talk to Heather Gurney. Let's move on from that. If you want to help out in the kids area or the nursery, talk to Courtney Walker. You know, right now our nursery, go back for just a second, Cooper. Our nursery is self-service. There's not an adult working in the nursery. If you need to breastfeed, if you need to change a diaper, there's a TV down there where you can watch the live stream, but there's not an adult down there. It would be great if we had an adult down there working in the nursery every week. Okay? Now the next one. That is not what we're limited to. You have an idea that's outside of the box that wasn't mentioned? Awesome. Talk to me, talk to Heath. Wouldn't it be cool if someone came in every week before anybody showed up and prayed over this room? Great. If you want to do that, talk to me, talk to Heath. I have a key to the building. I'll get you in here. Wouldn't it be cool if you had an idea and you just had the guts to say, hey, here's what I want to do? More than likely, we're going to say, yeah, that's a cool idea. Let's get it going. Okay? Let's get even more specific. Moving on. Some announcements. First or second day of March, depending on where the equinox is, is a building work day. This is the day after my wife's birthday, Terry. We're going to, rain or shine, we're going to have a building work day because, like I said before, this building is falling apart and we need some help. So if it's raining outside, we'll get work done inside. If it's not raining outside, we'll get some work done outside. We'll get some work done inside. If you can't swing a hammer, then you can bring that buffalo chicken dip because we're going to be working all day and no excuses for leaving to get food because there will be food here. That's March 21st. There's one way you can serve. Next, April 11th, right after that, this is the day before Easter. Again, on a Saturday, we're going to have our annual Easter egg hunt. We need people to donate candy. We need people to donate their time. We need people to supervise the games. We need people to organize there's endless amounts of stuff that we need. So be looking for volunteer opportunities for that. And here comes the big announcement that I've been excited to tell you about. In July of 2021, which is 18 months from now, so no excuses. There's plenty of time for you to prepare. We are taking a mission trip to the Dominican Republic. And if you want more information about what we're going to be doing, go to www.crosswinds.org. You can check that out because I could spend another 10 minutes telling you what's going to happen down there, but I've already been up here longer than I thought I would. So, but that's an exciting opportunity. Heath and I, as a matter of fact, are going this July. We're going to go to the Dominican Republic together, and he and I are going to scout out exactly what we'll be doing, and I think there's going to be some options for us once we get down there, and we can, depending on who volunteers to go on the trip, we can work with kids, or we can work on construction, or we can work on outreach, depending on who agrees to go on the trip with us. So we're going to go down there and scout it out this July, and then a year from this July, in 18 months, we hope to take an entire group, men, women, youth. We're going to the Dominican Republic, and I'm very, very excited about that. Okay? So let me get to the conclusion, and I'm going to ask the band to come on up because I'm not going to pray because I want this song to be the prayer. So here it is. Oh, by the way, Cooper, there's some more slides after this that we're going to leave alone until after the song. After the song, then we'll come back and do these last slides. If you haven't been paying attention for the last however many hours it feels like I've been teaching, if you haven't been paying attention, this is where you need to pay attention. Service is a daily struggle, and I know it is for me. It could be for you. Every time you serve, you need to ask yourself, you need to pray to yourself, why am I doing this? And if you're doing it for the self-glory, then you're in it for the wrong reason. You need to do this. Service needs to be about the glory of God. And if you do that, you'll get so much more accomplished because God will be able to use you as his own tool. If I say I'm doing this because I want the attention, sure, you might do a really good job and you might feel really proud of yourself. But if you say I'm doing this for his glory, all of a sudden now you're his tool and he's so much better than I am. He's so much better than you are. He'll be able to use you, and he'll be able to do even more. So I want this last song to be our prayer, and I'm going to look it up so I don't screw anything up. But there's some words. I picked this song, and I'm going to sing the song, but there's specifically 2 lines that I chose this song for. And the first is, I've gotten it wrong enough to know which path to choose, which is another way of saying I screw up all the time. But because I've screwed up all the time, I'm learning from my mistakes, and I'm going to get it right this time. The second line, and we're going to repeat this over and over, is I want to keep you in my sights, which is as long as whatever it is I'm doing, I'm going to keep my eyes focused. I'm going to keep my attention focused. I'm going to keep my intentions focused on God, and it's going to be better than what I could ever do. I want to thank you guys for putting up with me. I'm going to move this table out of the way, and then we're going to worship one last song. I know that you haven't heard this song before, but I promise you it's easy. And after you hear the chorus a couple of times, I invite you to stand up and join in with me. And if not, at least focus on the words and think about how it's going to impact you.